Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting for the City of Isanning for Tuesday, June 2nd. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could all rise for Pledge Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doing roll call, all council members are present. Is there any public comment at this time? If there is, and you are online, just unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record, please. None at this time. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda with the addendum that is marked K9?
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion to accept the agenda with the agenda modification by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
Aye, Paul Burgley.
Steve Lundin, aye.
Dan Collison, aye.
And myself, Jeff Johnson, aye. Therefore, motion carries 5-0. Moving on to proclamations, commendations. There is a mayoral proclamation for a high school class of 2020, which I don't have in front of me. Thank you, Ms. Wood. The mayor's proclamation for the city of Isanning is as follows. Whereas 2020 gave way to an unprecedented circumstance which have prohibited typical high school graduation, year-end activities, and celebrations. Whereas Cambridge Isanning High School seniors have exhibited incredible strength, resilience, and Blue Jacket pride. Whereas the class of 2020 makes our community and school system a fantastic place to live and learn. Whereas educators at Cambridge Isanning High School work closely and passionately with our students and families to provide a wonderful education. Whereas the Cambridge Isanning High School class of 2020 makes our citizens proud of their commitment to responsible citizenship in the unprecedented time of COVID-19. Whereas the class of 2020 will be our future leaders, pioneers, creators, motivators, and role models. Whereas the community of Cambridge Isanning supports and congratulates all the students who will continue to influence our community long after this certain crisis has ended. Now therefore, I, Jeff Johnson, Mayor of the City of Isanning, do hereby proclaim that the week of June 1st, 2020, as a time of appreciation for the dedication of the Cambridge Isanning High School class of 2020, who have worked hard, preserved, and risen to the challenges before them. Do we have any other proclamations, Ms. Wood? Am I missing one? I feel like I am. No?
Just one.
Okay. We'll move on to approval of the city council minutes for May 19th, which was a regular city council meeting, and a May 19th committee of a whole meeting, and a May 19th planning commission meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Burgley and a second by Councilman Lundin. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
Paul Burgley, aye.
Steve Lundin, aye.
Dan Collison, aye.
And Jeff Johnson, aye. Therefore, motion carries 5-0. Announcements. Committee of a whole is Tuesday, June 16th at 5 p.m. and a city council meeting also Tuesday, June 16th at 7 p.m. And then a planning commission meeting will immediately follow that city council meeting, as well as Park and Rec Culture Board meeting will be Tuesday, June 23rd at 6 p.m. Any council committee reports?
Yeah, we had met with the fire district last month. And again, the joint powers agreement has not proceeded. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we can't get him to show up for a meeting, so other than that, there's not much to be discussed.
Thank you, Councilman Lundin. Any others?
Rum River BMX is actually opening the doors now to limited practice and times. So kids and adults that are in BMX are currently being able to get some limited track time through appointment only and limited number of people in the building. So that was a positive sign.
Slowly but surely. Thank you, Councilman Collison. Any others? None at this time. Let's move on to the business items. K1, resolution declaring Isani a business-friendly community. Ms. Wood, would you care to elaborate on this?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I had received a request from Councilmember Gordon to include a resolution to discuss tonight and possible vote to approve, which was to state that the city of Isani is a business-friendly community and encourages Governor Walz to open and allow for the safe opening, of all Minnesota businesses, which include the city of Isani businesses, which we know are struggling through this COVID-19 pandemic. I will turn this over to Councilmember Gordon or yourself for further discussion.
I think Councilman Gordon and I have had discussion on this item. I personally know this was a serious pandemic. The only one that I know that suffered from it was my brother-in-law, but has since passed and is A-OK. Other than that, I know we had 6, am I correct, Chief? Was it 6 cases in the county?
20 confirmed as of Sunday.
20, was it 20 confirmed?
I believe it was 20.
Which is pretty small for how large Isani County is.
No,
No
No
deaths.
deaths.
No deaths in the county.
no.
No. With that being said, I think our residents have common sense. They know to keep their social distancing. They know if you have any signs to stay home. I mean, I think they've done their due diligence, so it's time for us to do ours. If it was up to me, I'd like to open the whole city right now. And I have spoke to the council. I think we have spoke about it anyway. And we were told that we could do it. Our attorney told us that. However, we would face misdemeanor charges and fines if we did go against the governor's orders. And we were all willing to take those charges and fines. And then the second thing was, however, you won't be insured. So with that being said, the city not being insured would just turn it right back to our taxpayers, and that is something I don't think any of us want to do. If a claim came out that somebody caught COVID because they were potentially at this council meeting right now and we weren't covered for that, then it comes out of our taxpayers' pockets. And that's not what we want to see. So unfortunately, I think we all agreed that opening the city and defying that governor's orders would not be a good idea. But I think sending this proclamation saying that we encourage him to open it would be a good idea. Other than that, Councilman Gordon, you have anything you'd like to add, sir? You feel free.
I think you covered most of what, what had been discussed in the past and kind of where our thoughts were at. And I think it's something that I can definitely get behind on. And I think I would make the argument that they can say they're not going to insure you, but I don't think the government or the governor has a leg to stand on as far as constitutionality on his orders. And I think that if they were to deny coverage
Jimmy?
based on,
Excuse me, can you unmute? I can't hear
oh,
you.
sorry. Forget about that. I just think that the governor doesn't have a leg to stand on constitutionally, and I think that, if they were to say you're not insured, I think we could come back and say, well, we were not, it wasn't constitutional what he was doing, and so we're going to fight you on that, and that we should be covered. So I'd make the argument that we probably would win that battle, but no, I think this is a step in the right direction, and I'm all on board with it.
Do we have any restaurants that are utilizing outdoor seating? With
I
phase
can
two?
tell you this before Ms.
Phase
Selman
two.
speaks up. We did lose the Creamery Crossing, and rumor has it we've lost Great Clips within our city. Great Clips has yet to be confirmed according to Ms. Selman, but we do know the Creamery Crossing is no more. I do not want to see any of these other cities plummet, or these businesses plummet within the city. So, I mean, I feel like we're doing something instead of nothing, but Ms. Elman, go ahead.
Yeah, we do have one business that is utilizing outdoor seating that I've seen so far as a drive around, and they're not in their pad, not in the parking lot. They have enough space, so they didn't have to do anything additional. Great Clips is unconfirmed closing. There has been stylists that have confirmed it, but until corporate tells us, we don't consider it confirmed. And then, as you said, the Cream and Cross-String has closed. When I did talk to the owner, he said it was due to rent increase. So there was other factors behind it, but that is what he told me.
Unfortunately, I don't think our governor is got his hands full with this past week of disrot that the state is in, and not just the state, all the United States. And I think we all can agree it's a shame on either side on this situation, but I got a sneaking hunch that he's going to put less and less effort into the COVID-19 right now.
Which could be a bad thing or a good thing, because if he's putting less effort in, then he's not putting any effort into a reopening plan. So I would get on this wholeheartedly, and I don't know, maybe even talk to the city attorney and see if we can, there's a group out there supporting recall Governor Walz, and just say, I wonder if we could do the same thing and say we support that. So, because if we're not going to open up, we're going to start losing more and more businesses, It's going to be interesting to see when they do open everything up, and maybe if they open everything up, who's coming back and who's not coming back. So.
Well, I can say this. I know there was a mass email sent out, and I was on that mass email from Lieutenant Governor, and she said that these smaller rural cities felt left out of the conversation and/or decision-making, and she had told the governor this, and the governor said if that's the way they felt, it was true. And he takes the blame for it. And he encouraged people to reach out to him before they took the next step, because he was also learning that there were people defying his orders in opening their cities back up. So I reached out to him a week and a half before this whole riot stuff started. So he had a week and a half potentially to return my phone call. And then I did call him this week too, knowing I wouldn't get an answer this week, but I did just to do my due diligence. And of course I didn't get a call back or an answer. But that week and a half ago, he sure could have called me back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or he could have picked up the phone.
Yeah.
And he could have talked to me, and I would have told him we were going to make this proclamation and we were going forward with this, but I heard zero from him. So at this point, I'm pretty well sickened and ready to do whatever we have to do.
Yeah, I think he's under a lot of pressure from a lot of people, and any more pressure that we could exude upon him, I just think is a positive direction for our business community.
Well, you do know that we're just rocks and cows up here.
That was a statement I heard him make. I would agree, Councilman Lundin.
Well, however you want to put it, you know, if you get enough people saying something, I don't care what we're going to call ourselves. I still think a town of 6,000 matters. So.
I think a town of 6 matters.
Well, I do too.
6,600, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
We all matter.
Well, I'm not saying nobody doesn't matter. Okay, 6 to 6,000 to 600,000 all matters. I'm not saying nobody matters. I'm just saying, you know, it doesn't matter if he calls us rocks and cows. We still matter. So.
With that being said, I guess we need a vote on this, if I understand correctly, Ms. Wood?
Yes, Mayor, that is correct.
I make a motion to move forward with it.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin to move forward with it, and a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
Aye, Paul Burgley.
Steve Lundin, aye.
Dan Collison, aye.
And myself, Jeff Johnson, aye. Therefore, that motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K2, a resolution of off-sale 3-2 liquor license application for Coburn's. And I hope I don't hack your last name up, Mary. Is it Kruk? Is that it? Yeah. Sweet. Step right up if you wouldn't mind, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I appreciate you taking time again to listen to us. Really what we're just asking for is obviously the 3-2 license and the approval of the application. I believe this is one of just a couple of our locations in the organization that we do not sell 3-2 liquor. And to this point, it's just an option that we would like to offer our guests. So that's really the crux of why we're asking.
Okay, so Mary, I'm the liquor store manager for the city of Isani. It is a municipal liquor store. I know you used to work in Princeton. So in front of all my council members, I have the gross profit dollars that we make at the liquor store between 2 vendors. So all of you have the packet in front of you. So the very last page shows between 2 vendors what we make in 3-2 and NA profit at the liquor store. So I guarantee you, if we do pass this resolution, we're giving up profit that goes back to the community, and that's what the liquor store is all about. So that's only 2 vendors. I have one more vendor that has probably about $10,000 more of that profit. So we're giving up about $45,000 in profit. A percentage of that. You know, no one else in town has it. So it's something that we could change because we have a municipal liquor store. I know Coburn's, there's a lot of them that do. I know a lot of Quick Trips do too. So, but why should we give up something that we give back to the community? So.
Well, there's two ways to look at business from my point of view that I've heard. I know they say there's a chiropractor on every block, and some people say the more successful chiropractors, the better off we all are. And I don't think we'd just be giving all that profit up. I would think that.
He said we'd give up a percentage.
Oh, I thought you said to give it all up.
No.
Do you have a feeling on what percentage you feel would be given up?
I have no idea. It's, if someone's already at the liquor store and they're going to buy 3-2 and NA beer, it's going to hurt me. So.
Well, I'm just gonna say this: when Coburn's came to town, there's people upset that they accused us of shutting down Riverside Market, and all around. And
Sorry, that was my Sprite.
yeah, I know.
I just thought it was very apropos.
I thought it was
The
too, that's
topic,
why I
that's all.
opened it right now. Sorry.
You know, but, so the people that were upset with us when it came to opening up or letting Colburns come to town, like we had much of a choice. They passed all the zoning and all that type of stuff. And, you know, looking at it from my standpoint, I could have voted against the medical clinic because I treat headaches and I treat back pain. Why should I vote for them to treat back pain and headaches? And they, you know, I gotta be honest, they haven't hurt my business one iota. And so they say the more people that are successful, the better. The more chiropractors, the more medical clinics, the more physical therapists. You know, that's good for my business. That means we're all successful and we're all helping people out. I'm not saying you're wrong that we're gonna lose business. I've always respected your business opinion, John. But I felt like Colburn's got shafted the first time around on the liquor license thing because one person made the decision, we didn't even get to vote on it. And, you know, I'm glad you shared your opinion because I'm always, well, I don't know if you guys came or not, but I just remember, I think they asked for a liquor license.
Yeah.
You
And I
did
think-
from the start.
This is the second time that I
It
know
is.
this has came through the city. Well,
It's been on
technically,
there, so let me ask you this question, Mary, and I'm just looking for the honest answer. So we do have a resolution passed that does not allow strong beer to ever happen in the city of Isanti, because we set up that already. So are you getting the 3-2 license for the fact that you think that strong beer is gonna hit grocery stores? That's just a question.
Our director of liquor has not given me that information. I can tell you that in the location where I did already have 3-2 in Princeton, and then I was at another location that had 3-2 beer, I can tell you that for us it was just a added benefit to the guests. I can tell you that I can't get White Claw, which is what I prefer to drink, or Tito's. I can't believe I'm having this conversation. That I can't get that at my store, right? I'm still gonna come to you for that. I think this is just an option for our guests who are coming in for their brats and their burgers on their way up to the lake to have an added sale. They're still gonna come to you for everything that they can't get that's 3-2. And the 3-2 guests are gonna want the 3-2, but there's gonna be more that are gonna want you with the larger margins. So for what it's worth, that's how we
and I
feel.
guess my question would be, even if that did happen, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but you would still have to come before this council to sell strong beer.
Correct, because you've already passed, correct? Is that what you're saying?
We had
Yeah,
passed a
yeah.
resolution to keep it from coming in.
Right.
So even if
Right,
we were to
so-
facetiously say this got passed, and that strong beer came about in 5 to 10 years, she'd still have to come in front of us for that.
Correct, but all I'm saying is taking a little piece of our pie is still hurting our community overall. I mean, look at that profit. That's a lot of profit we could, even if a bit of that goes away. I have a lot of non-alcoholic customers, and there is a little percentage of alcohol in non-alcoholic beer. And I
So-
have a lot of customers that come to me on a regular basis. You wouldn't believe what I sell for NA beer.
So for those that can't see what we're seeing, I can easily state that 3-2 profit under one distributor's 20,000 and some change, another's 14,000 and some change, and you stated 10,000 from a third. So it would add up to roughly 40,000.
45,000, yeah. Yes.
And you'd say they'd take a small piece.
And the thing is a lot of people say that 3-2 beer is going away. That is not true. When I went to the legislative day, there's 45 items that are available in 3-2 right now. So it is not going away.
We would not have the capacity to be able to offer that.
No, and I understand
many,
that.
For sure.
I understand that, but
Our
it's-
piece of the pie that we would carry will be,
Major brands.
yeah, I mean, it'll
Bud Light,
be, it'll be
Budweiser,
what we
Golden
know
Light.
will sell because we're not in the 3-2 business to take
Right.
up even, 8 feet. So-
Right, but what's happening is the Buds and the Bud Lights and the Coors Light are not available, so then they're buying the other things that already sell. So that's what's happening. So a lot of the states that don't have 3-2 anymore, they're all switching to the White Claw. There is a White Claw that's 3-2. There is I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. There's a Michelob Ultra
that is a 3.2 instead of buying Michelob Golden Light. So that's what's happening, because I'm seeing it in the gas stations and all that already. So it is happening. When it's not available, they go for other choices.
I know, a lot of your Quick Trips are equipped with a cooler for 3.2 beer as well, so wouldn't be surprised if they would be the next one.
That's my
So,
fear.
so actually,
Here's
Dan,
my
that
fear,
that
though.
didn't happen because gas stations are not allowed to sell 3.2. We already have that set up at the city, so that's why they came to us a while back and they did not get it, because it's not allowed for them. It is only allowed for grocery stores, but
But here's my fear, though, is we give Coburn's this license, then Quick Trip's going to come next.
Well, they're going to try for it next, but we already have a resolution that says they can't have it. So that's why they don't have it.
But you let Coburn's do it.
But Coburn's.
We're going to dance around that argument.
There is an actual one written up for
How much closer do I got to
Coburn's.
get?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
There is one for grocery stores, just in the city of Isani. But there is not one for gas stations at all. Mobile tried to do it years ago, before I even worked at the liquor store. And they got denied it because it's not on there, so Quick Trip will never get one.
Any other discussions, comments by the council?
One thing I do want to say is Cub Foods in Cambridge has 3.2. Walmart has 3.2. When I worked at the gas station, and it's whatever, it's up there where McDonald's is now, whatever it used to be 76. You had to be 18 years of age to work there because they sold 3.2. That was in the city for many, many, many years. John, I respect everything you have to say and do and what you do for the city. I'm torn on this. I really am. Because I don't want to tie people's hands and say, here we just passed something, business-friendly community. That word just comes to you as being a business-friendly community. That's a hard thing to say, that all of a sudden we're going to say to somebody, we're going to deny it because of this. I personally, I don't drink. I haven't drank in 33 years. And I have come in and got stuff for my daughter and my wife many times. If I was to drink, I'm not going to go buy 3.2 if I can buy hard liquor. Plain and simple, straight out. I personally don't think Colburn's is going to have a problem with this, is because they're going to be putting a lot of money in inventory on something that isn't going to move that rapidly. So that's going to hurt your bottom line. And I personally believe it's going to pick up his bottom line, because you may not be getting those customers that are going to buy that 3.2 from them. They're not going to run over there to go get it. Your hours and being open on Sundays, that was the whole 3.2 thing, was so that's why gas stations had it, because liquor stores were closed on Sundays. Well, I guarantee you, when I drink, if I wanted alcohol, either I went to Wisconsin or I didn't drink 3.2, because that stuff's like drinking swamp water. So I'll be totally honest with you. I don't see it hurting the bottom line of the liquor store, my personal opinion. And like I said, talking about being a business-friendly community, I can't see us tying people's hands any more than they already are tied. My heart wants to say yes. My brain is looking at this bottom dollar amount saying no. But as a person, as a council member or a mayor or somebody representing the city, we got to look what's out for the best interest for the city. And personally, keeping a liquor store with sell their alcohol to them is the best interest for the city, but also we got to outweigh that factor of what is the best for our community. And if it's bringing business into the community, I got to be 100% behind that. That's just how I feel.
And I would say, how much I want to save the city every penny possible. We had discussion on other things last week, regarding the liquor store 2 weeks ago. But as far as a matter of principle, I don't think that the city should really be involved in the liquor store at all. As far as principle goes. So I would be behind this, is for Coburn's to get the 3-2. I just think it's the right thing to do. You know, I hate to see the city lose any sales on the liquor store, but I do think it's the right thing to do. So I would make a motion to approve the 3-2 liquor at Coburn's.
Second.
I have a motion to approve Coburn's liquor 3-2 liquor license application by Councilman Gordon and a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
I'd like to have a little more discussion.
Go ahead, Councilman Collison.
Wasn't too many meetings ago, we were talking about how we were possibly going to lose some LGA funding, and we were going to ask department heads to make some cuts, prioritize things. Chief, what's a new squad car cost today? About 50 grand? 56 grand? I think we've only had to actually budget for one squad car so far. Most of them have been paid for through.
We
Most
do
of them?
budget for most of them.
I thought most of them have been paid through the other means, but that's just one example, something that, and for doing things for our community, this money that the liquor store does profit goes straight back to the community, so we don't have to raise taxes. That's the whole point of having the municipal liquor store, or else we wouldn't be doing it. So I'm against having 3-2 beer anywhere else, because the next grocery store that comes to town, which will happen someday, they'll be able to have 3-2 beer. The next one, I'm for a municipal liquor store for the reasons that it does provide for a community, and I don't want to cut into that any more than we need to. So.
Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
To Councilmember Cullison's point, we do transfer in $350,000 per year annually from the profits from the liquor store. That does go into the general fund, which directly offsets tax rate increases. So theoretically, if we did not have that transfer in, we would need to raise our rates. It is a direct correlation.
I'm still gonna bet that we don't lose any. I respect John as a businessman. I was on the liquor store committee before we did that committee on the whole, and I've always been impressed with John as a businessman, but I'm in business myself, and I was told, hey, don't come to this town, there's too many chiropractors. And then I was told by other people, hey, come to this town, there's a whole bunch of successful chiropractors. If there's one more successful chiropractor, it's better for everybody. So I haven't been hurt by any of the other businesses, including the medical clinic, including the other chiropractors. And I hope you're wrong and I'm right, John, but you could be right. I mean, I know you have a good business head on you, but I believe that.
Still takes a piece of the pie, that's my point.
Well, I'm gonna bet that it's not gonna take a piece of the pie, but.
You know where it's really gonna hurt us? NA beer. I sell a lot of NA beer. And Coburn's can get NA beer, guess what? My O'Doul sales will tank, I guarantee you. Because they're already at the grocery store. That's my opinion. So it's gonna take a piece.
No, I value your opinion. I don't discount your opinion here.
Just like, I'll reiterate, we asked department heads to find cuts to make up for lost LGA funds. And now we're gonna
Take out of our own pocket.
take out of our own pocket? So the taxpayers are.
I'm betting we're not gonna take out of our own pocket. I bet.
I'm not willing to bet that.
Okay, well.
Because I'm just one of 6,000 residents. So
Well,
I'm
so
not
am
gonna
I, so am I.
bet that.
You know.
So I'm here for the residents as
Well,
much as I am for the business. But there are more residents that will benefit from the liquor store funds than there are businesses that are gonna benefit from the liquor store funds. That's the whole point of having the municipal liquor store, is to benefit the residents that live here. If we take away from that, then we gotta take something else away, or raise taxes. That's not benefiting the residents at all.
I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying. I mean, I think John is probably spot on, and I think it is important that we have that money right now, that $350,000 a year that we move over, but should we really be telling Coburns that they can't sell 3-2? I mean, that's where I come down on it. I hate to give away that money, and I totally understand where you're coming from, Dan. I mean, I think maybe we have to find somewhere else to cut if we do, but I just think it's the principle of it that, you know, government shouldn't be involved in business, and I know that the municipal liquor store has been here forever and ever, and, you know, probably back to the days of Prohibition even, you know, I mean, it's got a long history here, but that's where I come down on it, is more on the principle of government shouldn't be in business, and that we shouldn't be limiting what businesses can and can't sell.
And
Two.
also remember, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dan.
Also remember too, one of our goals is to invest in the liquor store, increase floor space. We've had a lot of discussion on that.
To add to Councilman Gordon is, I bet you I have this conversation 3 times a week. What in the blankety blank does the city of Iceni have to do with owning a liquor store? The city doesn't belong owning a business. And my response is to that, it's called a municipal liquor store for a reason. There are still many communities that have municipal liquor stores and bars. And that was, in lack of better words, the God-given right to the cities to generate an income other than taxing people to death. And that's the argument that I give back on that every time. And I get the dumbest looks and told that I'm retarded and stupid and everything else because of that. But when you look at the big picture of it, it was given to us as a city, as a municipality. You know, years ago it wasn't a city, it was a municipality. And that's why they're called municipal liquor stores. And I believe it was either, not the last election, the election before, 8 years ago, that was one of the questions, what I thought about that. In a big respect, or, you know, bigger picture of this is you have to look at it in 2 different ways. It's a huge revenue income for the city. That $350,000 is huge. That comes back into our coffers every year that the liquor store puts into us. Next thing is we get that money comes in. If we don't get that $350,000, just let's take LGA funds right out of this picture completely. We're not talking LGA funds. We're speculating they're going to get cut. I'm about 100% confident they are going to get cut, but let's not even play that game in there. But if we don't get that $350,000 into our general fund, we have to recover that money from someplace. Cities don't produce anything to sell other than a liquor store, selling liquor. And they don't produce a widget that they sell to everybody. And so the only other way we have any other kind of income in is tax form, tax basis. So when you take that, so all of a sudden we're down $40,000, so we're getting $310,000 coming in from the liquor store instead of the $350,000. Where's that $40,000 going to come from? Now let's add in the LGA funds. Ms. Wood, what what's the average that we get on LGA funds every year?
Councilmember Lundin, it does change throughout the years. For this year, 2020, we are slated to get 2 installments, which totals $737,000.
So my guess is next year we're going to probably get maybe $400,000, if that.
What do you base that on?
What do I basing that on? The fact is, right now,
I understand what's going on, I just want to
I
know.
got somebody else talking, I hear talking.
Yeah, it's not going.
No, it's a female voice. I thought it was Miss Wood.
There's a caller that is unmuted. If you can mute your line, please.
With the pandemic that's happened, the state's got to give this money, they got to give money elsewhere to help offset all these costs. Now, with all the rioting going on, the city of Minneapolis, in my prediction, is going to be in bankruptcy by the end of next year, by the latest. is now that money's gonna get funneled into the city of Minneapolis. So guess what? Us cows and rocks don't get as much money. So I have to agree with Councilman Collison on this. I do still really firmly believe that we should probably give them their liquor license. But when you look at the big picture, you have to understand, we're gonna lose $350,000 next year if we give them their liquor license and he loses his. We're just gonna go with the full $40,000 on this. We're gonna lose another 40,000, so now we're down 340,000, and then we're only getting 310 from him. Something's gonna have to give, someplace.
Then you times that by 10 years.
Yeah. Well, it's,
10
I
years
think,
worth of losses.
I'm right now, I'm looking at next year. I think if we didn't have the pandemic coming, or the pandemic that hit us, I pray to God that we don't lose our LGA funds, but I'm not counting that we're getting all of it. And if it was any other time, I would stand here and argue 110%, give them that license. Because we can always budget that change difference somewhere down the line. I just think this next year we're gonna get hit really hard. And I think I have to agree with Councilman Collison that with the LGA funds getting cut, I just, it's a hard one to swallow. And that's not just, I appreciate every business we have in town. I appreciate what they do. Mary, I appreciate that you're giving us a grocery store to have. Riverside was going out of business the day you motioned you were coming in here. Because I had that conversation with Joel a million times. He was slashing everything as quick as he could possibly do it from day one, not even giving it the opportunity. And I tried telling him that people are very loyal in this community. So he didn't even give it that opportunity. They weren't even open 2 days and he was out of business. Mary, I'm sorry. I guess, I would love to sit up here and say, I want to give this to you, but I think you understand where I'm coming from. As a taxpayer also, not just a council member, but as a taxpayer, my taxes are going to increase. It's going to be a tough one to swallow. And I'm not the only one that's going to be swallowing that. It's the other 6,000 residents in town.
I personally know, I think we've heard everybody but me speak on this, so I'll speak up. I've been in your store and told you many a times I would support your business no matter what. I'm in your store, probably way too much. I definitely spend half of my paycheck in that store, that's for sure, a week. I would love to say, thumbs up, let's do this. But this is horrible timing. And to be honest with you, if this doesn't work right now, I would tell you not to give up. I'd say come back in a year or two. Try it again. See what happens. But if it passes, you have nothing to worry about. But as you see, what's different from me than my predecessor is I let everybody up here talk and think for themselves. So, with that being said, I did have a motion to accept it, and I did have a second. Let's individually go down the line and take a vote on this. If you would state your name and say aye or nay.
Aye, Paul Burgley.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
Steve Lundin, nay.
Dan Collison, nay.
And myself is going to be a nay. So the motion does not carry on a 3-2 vote.
Okay.
I'm
Thanks so
sorry,
much.
Mary.
Thank you.
But Mary, please,
Don't give up.
don't give up. I personally, I think you understand where I'm coming from. This is just bad timing.
Yeah.
Ill-got timing
Horrible
right now.
timing.
We have too many unsures that are happening right now. And like I said, I appreciate everything John's done. He's done a fabulous job at that liquor store. He's really made things come late to a lot of people. I respect what he has to say, but, you know, on something like this, I have a hard time going along with him on that. But I just, like I said, I think right now is just an ill-got time for me.
I think if this was different timing, different circumstances, and it did pass, I think it would light a fire more so under his butt than already is there.
Sure.
And
So
I
he
do
would
shop
just kick it-
Coburn's too. And I live in the cities, and I shop there all the time. And you guys do the coupons behind your receipts. I love it. So
Yeah,
you
I
help
love it
promote
too.
us too. So
I'm glad
it's a
I'm
good
not the
thing.
only one cutting them things off.
I
All
shop.
right.
So I mean, at different timing, Mary, I think it would have lit a fire under his butt, and he would have just kicked it into third or fourth gear, whatever gear he's in now. You never know because he just keeps accelerating. So don't give up,
Okay.
and know that this council and this community is behind Coburn's.
All right. We
Maybe,
appreciate it for sure.
Thank you, Mary.
You know, a lot of times, people come to the liquor store and ask the manager what goes good with this wine. You could say Coburn's fish, Coburn steaks,
And
I'm sure he does.
you know?
Actually,
We do.
sorry, I'm on my way out now, but I actually drove, I was out of Grenadine, so I drove to you for a guest and brought it back to her at the store while she continued to shop. So that's how we roll.
Good.
As long as we keep supporting one another, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
See you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Moving on to business item K3, which is the summer events discussion. Ms. Wood?
Thank you, Mayor. So Mayor and Council, Governor Walz did announce that there would be multiple phases through his Stay Safe plan. Particularly what we want to speak about tonight from staff is our street dances. In his list of what will be allowed in these phases, we look at outdoor entertainment such as movies in the park and concerts, which is where street dances would fit. In phase 2, which was in effect on June 1st, just yesterday, it was only allowed to have drive-in events. The next phase, phase 3, would be for the potential for phased opening with capacity restrictions and social distancing requirements. And then the next phase after that would be to increase capacity. So staff would like council to discuss if we are going to hold our June 20th street dance with this guidance that we have. There is no date on when he will be releasing phase 3 to start. We did talk to our vendors, and our vendors said that they would need to know by June 11th so they could plan for food, for beer, things like that. We still have not heard back from the band if they are calling it yes or no themselves. So staff is looking for direction from council on what to do with the street dance. It's June 20th.
So I just want to be clear, so phase 2 does not fit for a street dance, is that what you're saying?
Phase 2 does not allow for outdoor concerts in person.
Why
No.
is that? Did he specifically say no outdoor concerts?
He specifically said no outdoor concerts unless it's a drive-in style.
So I guess we'll have to park cars on Main Street, on First Ave?
Well, I would say, I guess then I would say keep 2 street dances and cancel the one. I mean, there's no reason to go on and on like this.
Did he?
I mean, I want to have the street dances, but I suppose we would wait till next, but what if, we'd have to have an emergency council meeting, but I don't think he's going to open it up by then. He's got like you say, he's got too much to deal with, worried about COVID right now.
We could be waiting forever for this guy.
I don't doubt that.
Phase 2 just started yesterday.
Correct.
Phase 3 might not start till August. We don't
Right.
know. He's not giving any,
So then he's going to cancel all of our street dances.
Well, I say we try to keep July and August open. I think we should cancel June, that's my vote, so, that's my opinion.
Okay, well, we didn't vote yet, so let's have a discussion on it.
I thought we kind of discussed this last time, that we were going to wait till his order came through June 1st. Worst case scenario, we push this out to the end of August, this date to the end of August, September. I thought that's what we discussed.
If the band will cooperate, I mean, the band's got to cooperate.
We don't know if the band's going to cooperate.
We could try that, I mean, I'm in favor of trying that too. I'm just saying I don't know if the band will cooperate.
Instead of going this month, if they would go in August.
We could definitely ask. I
That
think
would-
without having a date, a date certain. I don't have that answer this evening, but we can definitely ask if we are postponing instead of canceling, postponing to the end of summer in hopes that we can hold it.
So we'd have possibly two street dances in August then?
Yeah.
Well, the one in July and the one in August are pretty close anyway, so just be a third like every other weekend.
We might as well just have 3 hootenannies in a row.
Yeah. The way the year's gone, might as well have a hoop it up.
So
I
we do
agree
have,
with that.
the next street dances are July 18th and August 8th. So we can try to squeeze one in maybe in the third weekend August, depending on how things are going, if the band can give us a tentative soft date on that.
Yeah, I thought we were talking either late August, first part of September. That's what we were kind of talking.
Good.
My worry is he's gonna ex-nate July too, because we're gonna be waiting and waiting and waiting. I mean, the guy's got more food on his plate than he can fit in his stomach, and he looks like he's a good eater. He still probably has too much food.
Mayor, I would like to add in his list of categories, he does have concert venues as a separate category. I know that our street dance doesn't necessarily fall into that. That would be more of your larger stadiums. However, he does not show that opening at all in the plan in any of the phases. So that is pushed out even farther. So if he's got restrictions on the number of attendance, it will be pushed out beyond his phases that he's already stated at this time.
I guarantee you, if he pushes everything out to the end of the year, somebody will shoot him.
Jesus.
Well, I mean, people are already up in arms. And I mean, this, all this rioting, COVID-19 was a smoldering fire. The death of George Floyd, or whatever the heck it is, that just threw more wood on fire and just engulfed it. It's only going to get worse. I think we need to keep holding on hope for something.
Well, that's why I say cancel the first one and have the next two. I think we're getting too close to the first one to keep it.
Well, I agree, but I think by pushing out at the end of August right now, if they can do it, I think that's what we should look
Yeah.
at.
And by the end of August, we'll be saying, doesn't matter what the governor says, let's have a street dance. I know Jeff's ready to probably do it now, and if he would actually do it, I would do it too, so. You wouldn't get me to vote, you'd get me to vote for it, so.
Do we need a motion?
I don't know, but Councilman Brigley's not wrong. I'm ready just to have him.
I think we should have it. I think we have it regardless. I think if you,
We're defying his orders, though.
Well, I'll stand behind that. I'll be there to work it.
it's time.
I'll
And
volunteer, I volunteer right now to work the street dance on June 20th.
We could do it with this goal
I'm sick of
meeting
it.
thing,
Sorry,
and everybody
Katie
can
Brooks.
listen on their headphones.
Because what's going to happen is we're going to get another month down the road, and then we're going to be looking at the next one, and it'll be easier to cancel that one because we canceled this one.
Well, let's be committed not to cancel it then. Let's just say this will be the last thing we cancel.
I think we're going to drive our community.
Bonkers.
I'm trying to keep it PG.
Bonkers.
Bat crazy, we'll say. And I think everybody knows what I want to say. But we will drive them absolutely crazy if we start canceling things. Everything else has already been canceled. This community has nothing to do. And we're not forcing them to go to this event. We're just giving them the option to say, hey, you want to go, go. If you are scared, wear a mask and go. If you are that scared, then stay home and sit on your deck, because I guarantee you can hear it from there.
And dance with your kids.
And dance with your family and your children.
Well,
Amen.
I think we ought to wait about 2 weeks and see what all this rioting's done, because that's all going to show the COVID cases in the next 2 weeks.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
If you're willing to go for it, I'll vote yes on June 20th.
Can we wait until the June 16th meeting? Is that cutting it really close, you think,
Yeah, I
Ms.
think-
Wood? Or?
For the June street dance, are you asking?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that is too close. The vendors need to know by June 11th, so they can order food and beer for the dance.
Are the vendors willing to come right now? Is that what you're telling us?
I'm saying that they need a decision made by the city by June 11th at the latest. But I do want to point out one thing that the attorney did point out to us, I believe last meeting, perhaps not, maybe just to myself, is that if we go against the governor's order and have the street dance here, have a city event, and say that people can come if they want to, the people who enforce that law at our street dances is our Isani police. So we would then I would assume, need to instruct them to not enforce the law at our own event, and I think that becomes a liability.
I'm looking at our chief over there, and I don't see any movement.
Chief, if you wouldn't mind stepping to a microphone, please.
Careful, you might get COVID from that.
Well, with that topic that Josie brought up, it brings up a slippery slope. He's got to understand that. This is one, in essence, it is a law that you would instruct us not to enforce. What happens the next time when council members want, it's not going to happen, you want DUI, you don't like the .08 law, you want us to only enforce it at .10 or more. You know, so there is a inherent law enforcement as far as my profession telling us not to enforce a law. Kind of, it's a difficult decision. You know, we'll follow with what you're telling us to do to some extent, but it's a slippery slope. You know, this is one law here, but you are taking a precedence as telling your police department not to enforce certain laws that you don't deem are important or necessary or factual, whatever it might be. But what happens if the next council deems a different law is not important, factual, or necessary? And now you're telling your police department not to enforce those laws.
Can I ask you a question? I know when we got up here, we all took I think it was an oath in office, something saying
We did.
Support the Constitution of the United States, support the
A
Constitution.
little bit
of the
different
state.
than what he takes, though,
Well, I'm asking if.
but same.
But what I want to know is, do you say you'll support the Constitution of the United States? And
That is in our oath of office that every one of our
Aren't we,
officers takes.
would you, and you don't have to answer now, maybe you can go think about it, but I'm going to ask you the question anyway. Is the governor beyond his constitutional rights? I heard he can only do this for 30 days, and we should be, he's well beyond his constitutional rights, is my.
And that's a whole predicament. That's something that has been discussed in our realm as far as other things. But it's not as easy as just don't do it, don't enforce that piece of that puzzle.
But if it's unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional. That's my point. I mean,
Well, to that extent, the way I've been in law enforcement over 22 years, I've enforced laws that were laterally ran up the chain of the judicial system, said were unconstitutional. In fact, you know, back when I first started, if you were involved in a DUI accident, we'd hold you down and take your blood. Now you need a search warrant because that was deemed unconstitutional, right? So I mean, that's a transition. That's just one example of many laws over the last 22 years that I've been involved in that through the court system has found out they're unconstitutional, then they change the law. So whether it is or it isn't necessarily something new in the realm of law enforcement, whether it's constitutional or not, because nobody knows right now. It's got to go up the chain of command of our judicial system. They say it's unconstitutional. We don't do that anymore. But that's the way many laws have happened in the last
so
20
you
years.
can't determine for yourself what's unconstitutional. You have to wait for the chain of command to do that.
That's the way we work. We take the laws at hand, the court system deems them constitutional or not, and then they change that.
That's a respectful manner.
Well, I appreciate that.
Has there been any cases of, like, just an example, bar opening,
Not in our jurisdiction.
right, but within the state against the
Yes.
wishes and the bar owner arrested, I believe, because of that?
That and there's civil penalties on top of that.
So we could, just even, if us as the council made the decision to go ahead and do the street dance, we, technically, the four of us, we could be up for misdemeanors.
Correct. And then the other predicament that you run into is now as a council, you're directing myself not to enforce a law. Now, do you have the authority to tell me not to enforce a statutory law? So I would have to be taking a direction, going against what I'm supposed to do. What if, you know, it puts you in a predicament. Let's just say that there's no easy solution on our law enforcement side of that.
So I'm gonna throw something out to you, and I'm gonna sound very facetious when I say this. So unlike on that slippery slope that you're referring to, is kind of unlike the city of Minneapolis with the riots, where they didn't arresting certain people and certain things and doing things, you know, people that are breaking federal law.
How did that go for them, Chief?
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms, as we can say. Yes.
So I'm going to ask you, maybe you can say that's not your place. How would you advise us then?
I'm not gonna advise you one way or the other. I mean, that you guys are elected body of the
Okay,
city.
so
Make
that's
your
not your
decisions. But just understand where that puts myself and my department and as far as what we're supposed to do and what you have us in the city to do. You don't have the police department in your city to arbitrarily decide what laws are important. That's what the other legislative body of the state does, right? We have a legislative body that decides what laws are important. Granted, this is executive law, so a little different, but in essence, those are the ones that decide. We don't decide, if we have officers or, we don't necessarily believe a law is as important as the other one. We have the duty to enforce it, because that's our job. That's what we're supposed to do.
And I would hate to make any of your employees uncomfortable and putting them in a situation that could potentially come back on them.
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
sounds easy from the
right now,
beginning.
this is our issue. Well, technically, it's the governor's issue, but now he's kind of put us in a hard place, and why do we dare put him and his officers in that place? I'd love to have this street dance tomorrow, but I do not want to put IPD or the chief in a firing line, so to speak. I respect each and every one of you way too much to do that, personally. And Councilman Gordon, I want to have these street dances. But to put our chief in that predicament, that would be like sending in our fire department in a burning building that I knew was going to collapse. I just wouldn't do it.
So I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna make a motion that we postpone this June street dance if we can get approval from the band to end of August, first part of
Thank you,
September.
Chief. I'll second that.
Chief, thank you very much, sir. You look dapper, by the way, this evening, sir. I have a motion from Councilman Lundin to postpone our June dance to the end of August, and a second by Councilman Burgley. We'll do just like we did on business item K2. We'll go down the line. Just state your name and yay or nay on this issue as well.
Jimmy Gordon, nay.
Aye, Paul Burgley.
Steve Lundin, aye.
This is to postpone it, correct? Dan Carlson, aye.
And Jeff Johnson, I'll go aye. So the motion carries to postpone this, if we can, until the end of August. There's nothing more than I'd love to go nay with you, Councilman Gordon, but I cannot put my chief or that police department in that predicament. I just can't. And I know I'm going to be just as crazy as the next resident in this city. We're all residents in this city. No, let's hope not. Well, we'll break it then, just not today. Moving on to business item K4, a discussion for accepting cash and liquor store hours for June. John?
Okay, so I don't want to take up too much of your time on this. I'm going to just kind of read through a little bit to make sure you understand where I'm coming from on some of it. During the committee of the whole meeting, an inquiry was made to going back to accepting cash on June 1st. After discussing the issue with staff, they feel they're comfortable with doing so with the current hand sanitizing practices in place. So that's working out well. We started yesterday in accepting cash. Also discussed during the last committee of the whole meeting was returning to regular store hours on June 1st. Regular store hours are as follows: Monday through Thursday 9 to 9, Friday and Saturday 9 to 10, and Sunday 11 to 6. After talking with staff and communicating with other local municipal liquor stores, I feel the best option is to change the hours Monday through Saturday 9 to 9 and Sunday 11 to 4. So I'll give you a background to the other two stores. One is Cambridge. They are still closed on Sunday, and so is St. Francis.
And Monday, I believe, John. Cambridge is.
Cambridge was closed Monday. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 9.
Okay.
That's their new hours for June. And they did the same thing what I'm talking about right now at their city council, and they agreed to that. And they are closed Sundays through June. So they have to go back in July and decide if they're gonna open in July.
And all
on
your
Sundays.
staff was okay with that?
Well, that's why I laid it all out, so that's kind of what my next little part is here. Obviously, we've been facing unusual amount of traffic and an increase in total sales during the last 3 months. The store sees the heaviest customer traffic between the hours of 2 and 6, Monday through Saturday. Sundays, we have seen, I am not kidding you, 3 to 4 times the amount of business and customers in the store since the start of the pandemic. And obviously, both St. Francis and Cambridge being closed on Sundays, I have to schedule 3 people, and they're ragged by the end at 4 o'clock.
Let me ask you this, John. Are you, at closing time, are you having to say, excuse me, we're closed, you have to go to anybody?
No, so what we do, since the law is 6 o'clock, those that pull up, a couple of minutes to 4, or even a little after 4, I go let them in and let them get their stuff, and then lock the door, after that 4 o'clock point, because that's what we're closed at.
How many people on average are you getting tugging on the door still?
Maybe 2 or 3, it's not much. It's
Okay.
hardly anybody, because they're getting used to it, because I put it on my website, it's on Facebook. So we got it in a lot of different venues as far as the Sunday hours are concerned, so I haven't had any flack on that, especially with 2 other stores closed. And I know it was mentioned, maybe schedule 4 people. Well, I don't want to burden 4 people to work every Sunday. It's just a lot on them for that day. And kind of the last thing I put on here, our sales increased 90 to 100,000 per month. So sales for May was $134,000 over last year. So what is that doing? And then the other part that really got me is once the riots started and the liquor stores got looted, it came all the way up to Blaine. The people that were working this weekend, I talked with each and every one of them. They're getting people they haven't seen before. So you worry about that COVID-19 coming our way, guess what? They've never seen these people before. So they're in fear for themselves as well. Like, oh my God, all these people are coming because these stores have been looted and they can't even shop. I have a vendor that works for Phillips. She lives in the Lake Street neighborhood. Every liquor store is looted and done. They're all coming up here to buy their stuff because we're the only ones open.
Most stores on Lake Street are closed permanently.
Correct. So I drove through Brooklyn Park this weekend. I drove through Crystal. Every Crystal liquor store is closed. Every store in Brooklyn Park is closed. 3 out of 6 stores in Brooklyn Center are closed. So this looting has really hurt and obviously helped us, but it's putting a huge burden on my staff. So all I'm asking for is if we can stay 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and 11 to 4 on Sunday. It's only 1 hour on Friday and Saturday. Most people obviously figured it out at 8 o'clock on Monday through Saturday as we did for since April 6th. So I'm just asking them because they're really getting burdened and they asked me for this. So that's why I said I'd go in front of you guys and talk about it.
So they were okay with a 9 to 9
Yeah, they're okay with 9 to 9. So
and the 11 to 4.
and 11 to 4.
Did you
yeah.
did you extend Sunday's hours or are those the same? I can't recall.
Well, so normally we would extend the hours 11 to 6 on Sunday, normally
Okay.
this time of year. But they're really getting hit hard on Sundays with 2 other municipals closed. So they're all coming to us, so. No, 8, the law is 6. 11 to 6 on Sundays is the law.
No, Monday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Monday through Saturday.
Yes, Monday through Saturday was 8 o'clock, yes.
So it was 9 to 8.
Yes. And then
So
I
where
kind of
it's-
put an example in there, like one just kind of made me laugh because I looked at May 3rd of 2019 and May 5th of 2020. We did more sales with less time on a Sunday. So that's how much it's doing to our business. I mean, granted, I love sales, don't get me wrong. I don't want to turn people away, but yet I don't want to burden my staff either. So, because they're important to me, so.
So basically, it's Sunday hours would stay the same.
Would
but
stay 11
increase
to 4.
An hour.
Monday
Yeah, but
through
next-
Saturday.
Yep, Monday through
We'd increase an
Saturday.
hour and then
We
Sunday would
increase
stay
an
the
hour
same.
normally on Friday and Saturday
I
would
think
have been
that's a-
10.
I think that's
Step in the right
compromise.
direction.
I think so too.
And then maybe we revisit it next month.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We can revisit it next month, because I want to know if St. Francis or Cambridge are going to open on Sunday, because you're killing me now, I keep telling them. You're both killing me. So,
You're killing me, but you're helping
but you're helping
me.
me too, yeah. But you're helping me too. Sales are good, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to burden my staff either.
The council okay with that, or any other discussion with Mr. Jacoby's hours?
I mean, I'd like to see us return to normal hours. I mean, I think it's only 4 hours more per week that we're talking about. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a burden to ask that we just get to the
If you
regular hours
don't, if you don't have the
back to
staff, Councilman Gordon, you can't run a
normal. Well, he
liquor
has the
store.
staff, but I mean, it's
Right, but-
4 hours we're talking about.
Right, but they're worried
What
as
if-
well by seeing unfamiliar faces,
Mm-hmm.
and I get it. I mean, they know they're people in the city. I mean, if I was a drinker and I was in there once a week, they would know me
Mm-hmm.
versus, you know,
But I mean, those people are gonna come at the busier times anyway, too. I mean, they're not the people that are probably gonna come at, between 9 and 10. It's the people
Well-
that live here and they're getting home late, or they're,
Well,
on
I see a lot of it,
vacation.
as you can see too, and I didn't kind of talk about that, but if you look, I have some Monday through Saturday hours and how many more people we have from 8 to 10, or 9 to 10 typically. So, and you look at the sales for last year versus this year, we're not hurting. Believe me, we're not hurting. And it's only 1 hour on Friday and Saturday. And what is 1 hour going to do to me or to my staff with Cambridge closed too? I don't know. I don't know, but the unfamiliar faces was really hard to listen to some of them. They said they had 6 bikers walk in on Saturday, never seen them before, because they can't shop in Minneapolis because all their stores are closed.
and I think we need to walk, or we need to crawl before we walk.
Right.
And then once we're walking, John's gonna run after that, so. I'd like to see him open too and just go back to normalcy, but again, you have to crawl before you walk.
I make a motion, we go by John's recommendations and move forward.
I'll second.
I have a motion to,
Oh, yes, I do have one more little thing before you make your final motion. I did send Josie an email, and I was going to talk to you about it. So I had 2 vendors that are our major vendors, Breakthrough Beverage and Johnson Brothers. Both closed on Monday because they're in the heart of Minneapolis. So their truck drivers were afraid to leave on Friday to deliver their goods on Fridays. So they are trying to go back to business. Johnson Brothers has 4 entrances. They have 4 guards watching the doors. They have people sitting out in the parking lot casing the joint. So we do have an independent trucker. So originally I wasn't going to get a load this week from Johnson Brothers. Breakthrough I'm not. But Johnson Brothers I should get a delivery on Thursday. But it is affecting them as well. So out of stocks could be an issue. And I will put things on Facebook and on my website if things are missing, because we're really getting hit hard on ready-to-drinks because all the bars being closed.
do you get a 28-foot truck or a semi-full, or what do you get typically on
Well,
the
I
load?
get my typical load is anywhere between 300 and 500 pieces lately in a week. So I just had a load we just got from Southern, which they're down in Shakopee, so they aren't affected, but 2 of my major liquor and wine distributors are affected, so it will affect our products that we get. So, and they are running out of things because the bars are closed, so guess what everybody's buying? All ready-to-drink stuff, and I'm having a tough time keeping them full. So, and I will put something on that, just so that people are aware. So, I don't like being out of stock of anything. So it's part of my OCD. I hate running out of stuff, but this might affect us, so.
Okay. Thank you, John. I do have a motion from Councilman Lundin to accept the Monday through Saturday 9 to 9 and Sunday 11 to 4 hours, and a second by Councilman Collison. All those in favor, state your name and say aye.
I, Steve Lundin.
Aye, Dan Collison.
And myself will be an aye. Those who oppose, state your name as well.
Jimmy Gordon, I think it's a step in the right direction. I'm only opposing that. I think we should open back to normal hours. So.
Understood, sir. Motion does carry 4-1, however. Moving on to item, we do have the, oh, no, geez. Gotta flip the page. Moving on to business item K5, ordinance amending the city zoning code, ordinance 445, section 2, definitions, section 7, business districts, article 1, B1, central business district, and article 2, B2, general business district, sub 2, permitted uses, to add mobile food units as a permitted use. Ms. Selman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council in February passed an ordinance updating the peddlers and solicitors transient merchant code to include food trucks. So now we need to update our zoning code to include food trucks, to provide a definition, and to allow it as permitted use in our commercial districts. We held a public hearing at the last planning commission. Planning commission recommends approval. The ordinance is attached for your consideration.
Any discussion, comments, concerns by the council?
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Collison. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Aye, Steve Lundin.
Aye, Dan Collison.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
And myself, Jeff Johnson, aye. Motion carries 5-0. K6, ordinance amending the city zone code, ordinance 445, section 2, definitions, section 7, business district, and article 2B2, general business district, subdivision 3, conditional uses, to add micro distillery cocktail room as a conditional use. Ms. Selman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as the previous item we discussed, back in February, the council adopted an ordinance regulating possession and sale of consumption of alcoholic beverages. They added the distillery cocktail room, so we need to add that definition to our zoning code, and we need to have that as a use in our zoning code. So we're recommending to do that as a conditional use in our business districts. Planning Commission held their public hearing in May, recommended approval. The ordinance is attached for your consideration.
Any discussions, comments, concerns by the council, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Aye, Paul Burgley.
Aye, Steve Lundin.
Aye, Dan Collison.
I had a question for John, but have you noticed a drop in the liquor store sales since the brewery opened?
No, in fact, Warren comes and visits and tries a lot of microbrews, so I don't think we really lost any business. I know he does still sell growlers, and he talks to me about that, but I don't think it really hurt anything. Obviously, it hurt him because he can't sell anything, bar-wise, but I'm hoping that they can can their product because I'd love to sell it for him. So
That would be sweet.
that's kind of up to him whether he wants to do that. But I do put a bug in his ear once in a while, and he goes, "Well, that's my brother. It's not me." So,
But they do off sale though too, right? Don't they? Right now, you can take crawlers to go and that.
the growlers, yes,
Yeah.
yes. But they didn't do crowlers, and I thought, well, if he does crowlers, which are the cans, I'd sell them for him if he was willing to do that. So, and he knows that.
I just thought it was kind of interesting to hear that because that's what I expected your answer would be. And going back to that 3-2 discussion, I think Paul was probably spot on with that. But Jimmy Gordon, aye.
And myself, Jeff Johnson, aye. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K7, ordinance amending the city zoning code, ordinance 445, section 6, articles 1 and 2, subdivision 6B, maximum impervious surface coverage. Ms. Selman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the past few months, we've gotten some complaints from our builders and developers about our impervious surface maximum coverage. Right now, it is 25%. The Planning Commission discussed raising this. Staff has suggested, I think, 30% of the time. Planning Commission recommends increasing it to 40%. That is in line a little bit more with what the size of the houses that we're getting. We are getting bigger houses out here, and we are allowing smaller lots, so it makes sense to increase the impervious surface. Again, that's anything that water can't go through. Did talk with engineering. They have no problem with this. So staff recommends approval based on the Planning Commission recommendation.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Had it.
I have a motion to approve by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Aye, Paul Burgley.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
Aye. Aye, Steve Lundin.
Aye, Dan Collison.
And myself, aye. Motion carries 5-0. Resolution for adoption of the comprehensive land use plan update. Ms. Selman.
Mr. Mayor, we've been over this a few times. Planning Commission held a public hearing for our comprehensive land use plan update. Tonight before you is the final adoption. We did send you a link so you could look at it. We did have a copy up at the front desk for the public to view, and now I do have copies at your dais for you to take home or whatever you'd like to do with it. But resolution before you is to approve the update.
I'd just like to say that it's probably Don Lorsong's last project here, and Don did a great job, as he always does, and
He better be fishing right now.
he better be fishing listening to us. Hi, Don.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
Aye, Paul Burgley.
Aye, Steve Lundin.
Aye, Dan Collison.
And myself, aye. Motion carries 5-0. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have the addendum, which is K9. That is a resolution allowing in-person meetings of the city council and other city meetings to resume while observing our 6-foot social distancing.
Make a motion to
I'll
approve.
second it.
Motion, geez, do we have any discussion?
Aren't we already doing that? I mean,
No, these are,
Board members.
thank you.
yeah, but we did have somebody that was the public. Was
We
public
asked
not-
her to show up.
Be here.
Oh, okay. So,
These are EDA members.
No, I know that, but I'm talking about Mary Crook.
We asked her to show up,
So no other public can just show up, is that what you're saying?
not as of now,
Oh, okay.
until this is approved. Ms. Wood, would you like to add anything?
I'll just say my spiel. So back on March 25th at the city council meeting, due to the unprecedented uncertain times of COVID-19, we did declare a local emergency, and as allowed by state statute 13D.021, we did recognize that it was impractical to have meetings in person, so we had gone virtually. With the passing of this resolution, it is to open meetings back up. We will no longer do any virtual meetings. I do want council to be aware that per this resolution, we do observe the 6-foot distancing, and as you can see, we don't have unlimited space, and the public would be allowed to come in, to sit and be in the audience, but it would be on a first-come basis. We would not be able to potentially allow everyone who would like to come.
But even if that was the case, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chairs in here right now, we could potentially set them in the hallway as well because there is audio out there, obviously observing that 6-foot social distancing as well.
Mayor, you're correct. We could even fit in a few more chairs in here, but we do have audio in the hallway. We could leave doors open for people to be outside if we did have a large crowd. Correct.
Come on, public, no more virtual.
Motion to,
Motion to, I already have a motion by Councilman Lundin to accept, and a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
aye, Steve Lundin.
Aye, Dan Collison.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
And myself, aye. Motion carries 5-0. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Burgley and a second by Councilman Collison. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Aye, Paul Burgley.
Jimmy
Aye,
Gordon.
Steve Lundin.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
Dan Collison, aye.
And myself, aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn
Second.
by Councilman Lundin and a second by Councilman Burgley. All in favor, state your name and say aye.
Dan Collison, aye.
Jimmy Gordon, aye.
Steve Lundin, aye.
And myself, aye. Therefore, we stand adjourned. No more virtual people. You may show up.